introduce you to a couple of new events that are coming up between now and Easter of this year. So the first that I'd love to just explore a little bit further with Wes is our event Mind Matters, which is taking place on February the 26th. So Wes, what exactly are we looking at here? Are we looking at mental health, or are we looking at something else?
Yeah, Lisa, we're looking a little bit about that, but we're also looking at the issue that we are interconnected people. So our body and mind and our spirit are all, connected together. And so I was really interested in how we perceive reality and how we live in that. It was interesting that the 17th century philosopher René Descartes is quoted as saying, "Cogito ergo sum," which sounds a bit like speaking in tongues, but actually what it actually means is I think, therefore I am. I guess he must have thought he was pretty sort of a smart little cookie at the time. But of course, thousands of years before that, in Proverbs chapter 23, the writer says, as a man thinks, so he is. As a person thinks, so they are. And so how the perceptions that we have, how the way we see the world, what that looks like, that really interested me. And I wanted to find a way that we did that in a sort of a very healthy sort of way.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So if you're interested in anything that Wes has just been saying, please do check it out. It's on our website and you can book yourself on. So that is the 26th of February. And then we've got another event that, again, is sort of looking at our mental health and being emotionally healthy as well. And that is Do Not Be Anxious, which is taking place on the 20th of March. And I was just doing some research on some statistics about mental health, and the charity Mind, which is very helpful, have some statistics. And they say that 1 in 4 people in the UK will experience mental health problems of some kind each year. And 8 in 100 people in the UK experience mixed anxiety and depression. And amazingly, these statistics, they exclude certain groups, people who are in prison, in care homes, even, the homeless and the rough sleeping. And so actually those figures are probably quite a lot higher than what we've just experienced there. And I'm sure we all know somebody in particular that may be suffering from anxiety themselves. It may even be yourself or one of us. And so we want to just use an opportunity, especially coming out of COVID, to explore anxiety from a healing perspective. So Wes, could you just tell us a little bit about how this might be relevant?
Well, it's really interesting. I spent a day with 50 consultant psychiatrists. And I know what you're thinking. That must have been some appointment. It was a symposium, and we were looking at the psychiatry of the soul. And I asked one of them, I said, what is the nature of anxiety? What does it happen to us? And he says, the problem is that the world is moving too fast for us to be able to assimilate it. And, if you think about it, you can see the fantastic and the unspeakable from across the world in your lounge on your screen. And it can be almost like one after the other in the space of a couple of minutes on the news or whatever. And so the problem is we find ourselves in a place of anxiety, of stress, of pressure, and because we can't cope with what's happening in us and around us. So we want to take a look at that. Isaiah says, thou will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. So when we experience anxiety, what can we do? How can we find the peace that transcends what we understand, according to Philippians? And so that's what the morning's about. It's about finding a place of peace and how we deal with what's happening to us in that unchanging nature of God himself. But we're living in a changing world.
Yeah, absolutely. And also I heard you once mention when we did the event last time in 2020 that you wanted to change the title a little bit to you do not need to be anxious, because there are reasons why, aren't there, that we don't need to be anxious.
Absolutely. A great point. Yeah, and that's why we changed it. Yeah.
So the title might change by the next time you see it on our website. But the final event that is one of my personal favourites is finding a new vocabulary in prayer. And this is taking place for 2 mornings on the 23rd of April. And it really interested me and encouraged me when we last did this event. It really helped me find a new communion with God through prayer. And I had a really interesting conversation not that long ago with my brother, who said that often when it comes to prayer, there's autocorrect that comes into place. You know, we say things that we don't necessarily acknowledge that we're saying them. They're just part of our normal vocabulary. But this event I found really encouraged me to explore a new vocabulary. So could you tell us a little bit about how that might happen?
Yeah, well, the title, Finding a New Vocabulary in Prayer, came from a friend who was just expressing their longing to not for something different, but something deeper in prayer. And you're right about the words thing. I've noticed that Christians' favorite words in prayer are just and bless. And I'm not knocking it at all. But what is it that when we use words, what do they mean? And one of the key things that I looked at my own life and said, you know, in the prayer that I have, particularly as we're going through this incredible season, what are my prayers contributing to? How are they changing reality? How am I being changed as well? And so there were 2 things that we wanted to look at. I was interested when we pray out loud, who are we talking to? Are we actually talking to God, or are we talking to the other people in the room? And what's happening when we do that? But the other thing that I wanted to find, things like prayer as silence, what's that like? When we don't have any words, as well as looking at some of the mechanics of praying for people. We're going to take a look at some of the words that are used in the scriptures for prayer and discover that actually it's more than a shopping list. It's more than just asking God to do something, fix something. There is an incredible depth within that. And of course, I want to take a look too at some of the prayers in the Bible. We call it the Lord's Prayer, but in fact, if you think about it, it was the disciples' prayer. It was the prayer that Jesus gave to the disciples. But I do want to look at the Lord's Prayer, which is probably best found in Gethsemane. And so there's a number of different ways we're going to approach it. The idea is we just want to find a deeper place in God.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are interested in any of these events, do check them out on our website. We just wanted to personally tell you what we're excited about with these events, what we're looking forward to. And we do hope that you can join us. So do check it out on the website, and we'll see you very soon.